Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Today, I'm talking with my, fairly new friend, Jyuni the Apostate, and we are going to talk about her deconversion from whatever belief system you were once a part of, Jyuni. So that's basically what I do here anyways. So what I usually ask is for people to go back to when they were involved in that belief system, like from the kind of beginning or whatever, and what you remember from that, and how you found your way out. And also, guys, if down below are lots of links so you can follow Jyuni around on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube's and TikTok if you like. So it's the ball is in your court, so to speak, now, Jyuni. So take us on that journey.
Oh boy. Well, it's kind of a wild ride. And thank you for inviting me. It's an honor, really.
Well, thank you.
And I want to say hi to everybody on chat. If anybody has other questions, go ahead and, ask away. My story can get a bit confusing. Yes, because it's not just one deconversion. It's like many deconversions out of a lot of beliefs.
Wow. You sound quite similar to me.
Yeah, so it's also like an emotional roller coaster half the time. So
okay, well, take your time. Yeah. If you need a moment, just let me know.
Oh, no worries. I might sound a bit scripted, but again, I had a visual presentation and with audio, but for now I can just read off what I have. And so to start off, this may sound familiar, but I was born into Catholicism. Mm-hmm. Because my mother's side of the family, my parents got married in the Catholic Church, and you can say that at the time my dad gave in to her beliefs, only because they were living under my grandmother's. Yeah, only because they were both living under my grandmother's roof.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So from here, I'll refer to her as Grandma, and you'll see why. So this continued until I was 5 or 6, and when we moved out and lived into a town closer to my dad's parents, who were Baptists, and here I'll refer to them as my abuelos, which is grandparents in Spanish.
Okay.
So you can imagine how this ends up, because it's said that two different belief systems should never be together, let alone in wedlock.
Yeah, I know a few examples myself. So,
yeah, I mean, give us what's your strange example of two different belief systems?
Well, me for one, a long time ago, involved with somebody who was quite religious, and I was pretty much into paganism at that time. So, yeah, things kind of went south pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, and I'll bring up paganism in a bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Wasn't Catholicism similar anyways? They do all the ritualistic shit, so.
Right. And then before we officially moved into our, so-called forever home, my siblings and I got baptized from the Catholic Church.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so before, we left completely, it's like the last action.
I'd have been like, Jesus, if I knew you guys were going to be dunking me in water, I would have brought some soap and shampoo, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah. With all the people that get dunked into it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did wonder how, people that did it during COVID, the times of COVID. Did they get dunked in like the water with bleach?
Yeah. Probably, now that you mention it.
So, boy.
I mean, if they're smart, anyways. I'd be like, what's this booger doing on me?
Yeah, so, well, that was that for Catholicism, for now at least. We, of course, then had to find a church nearby where we moved and, where we moved to, at the time. And it took us a few tries to find, what suited both my parents. And eventually we found one that ended up being part that we ended up being part of for years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was only an attendee at the church up until my uncle died. So, who was the youngest sibling of my mother. I didn't understand what death was, at least not until then. And then my mom told me that hopefully he was with God as an angel in heaven, in the clouds.
In the
Of all
clouds, really?
places, yeah, of all places. So, where I was told where heaven was, in the sky with, whenever God is, I've heard stories, as a child, like if the sky is, dark and gloomy and it's rainy, it's usually because God's sad. Or if it's like if it's thundering outside and it's really bad, and or
Thor's angry.
whatever. Well, in this case, God was like super pissed, and I must have done something pretty bad, and so and we were pretty much told as kids, like, you better behave, or else God would be upset, and you won't have a nice day outside. Yeah, so I was told that my uncle was in God, with God in heaven. But this was strike one for God, with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She tried her best to keep her faith, but and she was still Catholic, and continued doing so until a certain point. Now, my grandma was a great storyteller, so my mother inherited that aspect. So folk tales and legends were told to scare us or even shame us at a certain age, and enter the idea of hell and the devil, and a bunch of superstitious and supernatural stories where we're told to make us behave.
Oh yeah.
Especially my cousins. They were often very mischievous and very spoiled by their father, who spent most of his time at work. They I don't know, they were more into like what was in, so to speak. So
What do you
other
mean?
interests, well, like, for example, so I had different interests that mainly were, I guess you can call conservative, but so interests like video games, Pokemon, anime, wrestling, and sex.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah. Well, let's just say the porn stash was around. I
That's awesome.
I I fell into the temptation, going by what the church says, and began having shameful feelings, like wanting to be a girl sometimes. And at the moment, I identified myself as just a boy. So feeling that, and having those temptations, really, really struck me. And I was like realizing my disgrace, and punished. I even punished myself various times,
Oh, really?
from taking, from um yeah, anytime I felt these feelings, but I kept some of the interests because my parents were very lenient. So, certain cartoons, and, video games, and I mean, even Pokemon, like, they didn't really care for some reason. Unlike now, or at least compared to now.
Yeah, I was into not so much the Pokemon. I mean, I actually play Pokemon Go, but I was a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy.
Yeah,
Well,
so were my cousins. And
still, I still play. So,
you still, oh, cool.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I got my cards right over there, fucking piles of them.
that's one thing I wish I could have gotten a little bit more into, but well, my parents also had like these marital issues, so I guess that's why they were a bit lenient. And we ended up going over to my grandma's house, more often than we did with my abuelos. So, like, my dad's parents, they were a bit more conservative, and so they would
Right.
not even they would gasp at the idea of anything that's not godly, so to speak, or anything that deals with the church. Like my grandpa was always reading the Bible. Every time I came over, he was always reading the Bible. That thing sat on the dinner table. like if it was supposed to be Jesus always joining us at the table.
Yeah, I was raised as a Jew, and the only person that was ever at the table was usually at Passover, and it was that Elijah guy. I think is that what they call him, Elijah? Yeah, something like that. I don't fucking know. I never paid attention. I just wanted to go find the matzah and get paid from all my relatives. Because they have to bribe you. They have to pay you to give the matzah back. And when you're a kid, getting $20 from grandpa and uncle and dad, and it's like, woohoo! I'm hitting the Lego store later.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Don't get me started with names. I can't like with all the genealogy and stuff of the First Testament. Nope, I can't remember any of them. Yes, but let's just say like my grandma, she. Like because my cousins had like a lot of the latest fads and trends and like had the latest techs and games, every time we went over and that temptation kicked in, she wasn't a strict Catholic anymore, so she was okay with giving me and my siblings, or my siblings and I, like whatever my cousins had, so that we didn't feel left out.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah, so I guess I had my grandma to thank for that, at least, to show me a little bit of, anything other than just, whatever I had. But, my father wouldn't argue with neither my grandma or my mother. So.
Speaking of remembering names, this was always one of the worst parts of the Bible, the begats.
Oh, yeah.
And Neil begat beer, begat drunk. I think it should be begot drunk. But yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah. So, right, I mean, to be honest, I skipped through, like, I skimmed through the genealogy, and just like, I wasn't so sure if any of these people were ever going to be mentioned again in the Bible.
Some of them weren't, so.
Mm-hmm.
It was all just about the lineage, and then just the main focus characters ended up being, and I call them characters because to me the whole fucking thing's mythology. So they were just brought up once in a while throughout.
Let's see. Well,
did I make you lose place?
No. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here and see also like what I have too. Well, I mean, in the end, it was just having certain behaviors, reinforced by like folktales. Like how I was saying, like my cousins were pretty much the mischievous ones, but I tried my best to be the good kid. And so my grandmother would always tell me, like, I wish I had, 20 of you. So it felt great. Yeah.
You sure about that, Grandma?
Right. Oh. And in the end, it was just that, like, if it wasn't, those horror stories, being told to scare us, it was the church, telling us about the end times. There was one time where we had an evening presentation of a certain Cloud 10 movie that was playing at the evening show, and it revolved around the rapture and the Great Tribulation and whatnot. That terrified me. Okay, and I guess you can say that I started, reconciliating, like regaining my faith and like reinforcing it, so to speak. And I was told that all I had to do was just accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and that'd be it. I'd be saved, and I wouldn't have to go through, those awful times to come, which apparently was, coming in my lifetime anytime soon.
Right.
So you better be ready.
Did none of them read the part in the Bible where Jesus says he's going to be back during the time of his apostles? Oops.
Guess not. Guess
Oh,
not.
well.
Um, and then 9/11 happened, which really convinced me that the end was definitely near. So now I'm mixing in patriotism and Christianity together.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, fun.
What was that like, being like sort of that mindset?
It was strange because, it's like you're fighting, like I was young. I was still probably like in third grade. I want to say like second and third grade. So
Okay.
perfect time to start, uh, telling kids about the end times, right?
I think I was 33 when that happened.
Oh,
Hey,
you mean
move!
like, yeah.
Hang on a sec. Let me do my usual shtick. Get my cane. Get off my lawn, you little bastards! No.
Yeah,
So every time I say I'm old, I have to do that.
oh, you're good. Hey, I'm trying to remember. Really, it's it was more of like God bless the USA. So it was like we were the special country. So I believed like, okay, if I'm in that special country, that means I am special in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and that maybe that this is the time. Maybe we are going to be experiencing those. And I've watched a lot of these end time movies like Left
Yeah.
Behind and all the tribulation
Yeah.
series and stuff. But I even scared a couple of my siblings, saying that I was going to join the army as soon as I got old enough to do it. So that's just something that I remember, at least. Um, and then when fifth grade rolled in, I joined the school of band. There I met my instructor, and if anybody's heard me talk about him, let me say that he reinforced more of my faith with his proselytizing at school. I never batted an eye on his prayers before practice started or his band camps, which, was really Bible camp. And when I was in that time, in that camp, I asked one of the brothers, how can I be saved? How? Like, I want to be with Jesus, when the time comes. And to that, he just did a prayer with me, and I repeated after, and I wept and cried, and because it was like, finally it's happening. I'm going to be saved. And I felt relieved. And when we took the bus ride home, I can remember us shouting out the window, "Jesus saves!" to like every car that passed by, and I was like,
Oh,
man, I'm a
boy.
warrior of God. So uh I didn't even, I was
I'd have been
continuing
rolling
reading.
up the window. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if
Crank some Slayer or something.
I don't know if any of them actually heard us. Um, let's see, but I continued reading my Bible, and I didn't even bother, questioning the iffy parts. So I was giving multiple Bibles. Um, let's see, like the iffy parts were, those times of like the wars and all the genocidal parts, because like if people had to die, it was because God wanted it to, and it was for the world's sake from sinners.
Mhm.
And you know by the time like I reached seventh grade, my my band instructor, he was released. I was
Oh,
confused, but when I asked him, he's just said, well, when people are just not ready for God. So,
you
I
think they
mean,
would be by now, right?
right. 'Cause I was under the impression that, Christianity was, we're like the minority, and like, the whole spiel of persecution. We're all in
Yeah,
this alone against the evil world.
right.
So, you know, that that
Isn't
that was
isn't isn't Catholicism the number one?
yeah, it was definitely before well before Protestantism, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think it'd be more than I know. There's a bunch of denominations out there,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know if there's a lot of like Catholic denominations, so to speak. Because there's a lot of Christian
I'm sure there are.
denominations.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
I mean,
30,000 something.
I'm sorry, I meant like Protestant denominations, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But when he was released and like he left school, I felt a bit lost because he was like one of the only adults that I can count on at the time, and because I went to school every day, like that's pretty much what I talked to him about was just the Bible, and had questions, and he would be there to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My parents pretty much bounced around different churches because they were a bit embarrassed of the weeks of being absent from the church that we've been going to. So the next thing is that we ended up attending an underground Pentecostal church that a coworker of my dad invited us to.
Oh.
Yeah. There I learned to sing and dance for the Lord, and at one point I felt this. I felt the spirit of the Lord, roaming in the church, and there I was surely convinced that Jesus was in me, and worked His spirit, worked in me in my spirit.
Right.
Yeah. Though I mean, I know it could have just been the music, to be honest, and all. It's like meditation, to be honest, especially when the lights went off and you only got candlelight and all that, like, um, how do you call it? Like, it's like hypnotizing music, to be honest. But we stopped going there after, shortly after a baby died.
Oh, what?
And yeah, and at that time, like the ministers and all the followers prayed like they never prayed before. They were trying to bring this baby back to life, but unfortunately, to no prevail. The father tried to resuscitate the baby, and by the time like 911 was called, it was too late.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that church,
That's really sad.
it was it was definitely a place to go to, but so it was fun while it lasted, but you know,
Hmm.
sometimes when you just see things like this and you believe in a certain power that a church has, but if it's not enough to bring a baby back, then like we kind of question it. um, So at home, challenges with finances erupt, and my siblings was actually one of my siblings was going through a gender dysphoria,
Hmm.
which I hypocritically bashed on because I also had some sort of gender dysphoria with myself,
Yourself, yeah.
and I bashed on them pretty bad, and of course used shame tactics that the old church taught me,
Hmm.
and I almost disowned him as my sibling. And I didn't even want him to go to my graduation. That I kind of regret all the things that I've said, but when I look at it back, but it's I don't know if I were to ever just like speak to him and just tell him about what happened. Maybe he's forgotten, and it doesn't really matter at this point. But now when I'm looking back at it, it matters to me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So um, in those times, yeah, I started high school, so because I graduated, but when I started high school, I went back to my old church, but instead of attending the Spanish service, I went to the early English services. Um, but in
Do you
high
speak
school, I
Spanish
was
fluently? I imagine you probably do, but do you speak it fluently?
um, so and so. I'm not the best at it, but I can, because I work in an office, I kind of have to keep practicing it, and there's a lot of Hispanic clientele.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I had to work it pretty much. I don't need the doctor, who's not of like a Hispanic background. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, speaking it better than I am. But when I went back to this, when I back to the old church that I went to, I was presenting myself as a goth punk rocker kid.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure if it was just because of my certain taste in music that had an influence. It was it was a lot of things. I was a bit ridiculed at it, at church, but I guess I wanted to prove that someone different like me can be as godly as others. I even joined the Bible, study groups with the adults, and even led the youth groups, and did a couple of Christmas sermons because I wanted to be a church leader, even though I was looking like this, all covered in black, and I think at one point I had eyeliner around. So that, with the stress of trying to be accepted and be loved by not only the church but my parents, it eventually just took a toll on my mental health, and I've attempted to take my life twice. So I was then reminded that, by my parents, that I can't go into heaven, if I took my life.
Right.
And I wondered, what was the point of keeping, myself here on earth if, nobody was going to love me and wanted to go, I wanted to go with God now.
Right.
But then I was told, like, well, you have a purpose here that you need to fulfill. And I guess that's what kept me going, was just, having that, not having that choice. Like, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to keep going and, find that purpose. My God-given purpose, right?
What about, like, you don't still think that way, do you?
If I have a purpose?
No. Of taking your own life, I mean. Because now that you're out of religion, there's none of the religious purpose. So you've found something else to give you purpose.
Yeah. It happened maybe a couple of times more, even after leaving the church and, leaving religion. But I guess it was just out of my own, will, and knowing that, I just didn't want to deal with the stress and, depression.
Right.
I know it's not the, some might say it's not the way out, and there's other ways, but
yeah,
that's where, autonomy comes from, right?
That's right.
So, anyways, I met different people in high school, and in the end, I made it a mission to convince that Christianity was the answer, and so I had to put on a smile on my face and, kill with kindness, so to speak, to and show people that, people who look happy and are smart are people of God. And when I met my first girlfriend, who was Catholic too, yeah, I told my pastor about her, and let me say that he was the one who drove me to church because my parents wouldn't. For some
Really?
reason, yeah. Again, they were going through those rough patches, and my mom was trying to go into her belief systems, and didn't want to be part of whatever my dad wanted to be a part of.
Right.
So, I think they were just focused on whatever they were battling about. Then I guess they're their own kids. So, yeah, I was given, of course, by my pastor that the two religions can't be together, and my parents were like that example. And of course, he also gave me the purity spiel.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so it's like he even asked me, like, "Did you have sex?" And I didn't want to answer honestly, to be honest. To be honest.
For
Otherwise,
me,
no, I'm pure. I'm waiting to marriage. I even got the purity ring to prove it. Right. But
me too.
because
It's on this finger.
oh my gosh. But in the end, like he rejected her presence, and I felt offended. And I told him, well,
Oh, wow.
I thought that like all that mattered was that we accept Christ. But he was all like, I'm sorry, Catholics accept other things too,
Mm-hmm.
other than just Christ.
Yeah.
And
They have the Trinity, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know, right? Sex.
It's a threesome.
Mm-hmm. So I ended up leaving that church the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way back home, because I usually get a ride from that pastor back home, I ended up just walking back home. And from there, it almost felt like another church was actually waiting for me on the way home. Like it found me instead of me finding it.
Really?
Yeah, one of the leaders were there, who were, well, I guess, yeah, it was actually the pastor. He was closing up, and we talked and discussed a few things. And of course, I ended up joining. And eventually,
Oh,
I
okay.
brought others there with me, and even a girl who practiced Wiccan, and somebody else who did who practiced paganism as well, and
They
who were
didn't get
both.
struck by lightning going in there? No?
No, I guess not. Well, because I was the shield, apparently, because I was told.
Oh,
Yeah, I had the armor of God with me. I will protect everybody, So if I'm going to try to get as many souls as I can to heaven, God will back me up, right?
wait a minute. Armor, that's metal. You don't want to be wearing metal around lightning storms.
True. But sometimes science doesn't really matter. Okay.
Trust me, I know. It's pretty evident.
Yeah. These people were, who were pretty much called witches, and they were ridiculed at school. So I felt bad, and I ended up becoming their friend. And I managed to convince them to get in, and I don't know if it actually happened, but apparently I convinced them to come back to church, and I converted them into Christianity. So score one for the supposed good guys, right?
Wait a minute. Christian witches? Is that a thing?
I don't know. But I finally got a car from my grandma, and I was able to bring more people to church with me. So I even became the youth leader there too. And things were going well until I lost another uncle. Yeah, and I, of course, ended up again crying out to God, why? And I even went through a horrible breakup with that girlfriend of 2 years that I was with.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear
And
that.
yeah. But I know, right? 2 years. It's shocking. So it seems like nothing now with like my current partner. Um but after everything I did for him, like for God, and I was like wondering why was it happening. But then I just remembered the story of Job, and that this has to be a test of my faith, right? And because it
You
surely
didn't have any
tested my.
daughters already, did you?
No.
Okay, good.
I mean, I planned, a daughter to have, like, to get married with this person that I got to break up with, and have like an eternal life together. So I guess we had an imaginary daughter.
An imaginary daughter?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that like those classes where they make you care for an egg? As if you're a parent?
Actually, at school we had to take care of like those fake babies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Things have evolved since then, I guess. Oh, wait, I
Yep.
shouldn't have said evolved.
Oh no. Nope. not with me. Like like back then, like don't talk about evolution to me because like that's all fairy tale stuff.
Right.
Although for some reason I still believed in that the Earth was old because of the dinosaurs. I loved dinosaurs back then, and I mean I still do now. Anything anything that deals with an ancient Earth really.
Right.
That points to being older than just 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever really believed in a young Earth. So and
So you were a
never a flat
creationist, but
Earth.
you were an old Earth creationist.
Yes.
Right.
Um, but again, my grandma's faith was definitely tested because losing two sons and she also got cancer. It was like two hits to her, and I tried to convince her to continue having the faith, but at that point, it was gone for her. She no longer believed in God and became more secular. Um, no more fairy tales or like folk tales from her, by the way. Uh, she used to use that, to scare us when we were kids. But at this point, we were, in high school, didn't need that.
Mm.
But then afterwards, I met my new girlfriend, who is my partner to this day. So, um, and we've been together at least almost 12 years now. So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow. That like I think my record was 2 years.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm here saying like, oh yeah, 2 years. This seems like a joke to
No,
me now.
don't be sorry. That's I've come to the conclusion that the reason none of my relationships have lasted much longer than that, most of them are much shorter than that, is I've been with well over, I don't know, I lost count after 150 women, I think. And
Did you have any concubines too?
no. But
No.
I'm pretty sure that the common denominator is me. So that's why I don't do that shit anymore. I was even married for 3 months.
Oh.
Yeah. Till I found her doing cocaine and other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not under the church or anything. I'm assuming, right?
No.
Like, I mean, like not doing. I'm not saying like doing drugs.
Time.
But I mean, like married under the church. Gotcha.
No,
Okay.
we had a civil. I was Wiccan at the time, so.
Oh, okay.
We did a Wiccan wedding with a little bit of the Jewish tradition thrown in there too. Just
nice.
nothing religious, but you breaking the glass and all that sort of shit, right?
I would like it. Just thinking about it, I kind of like to just see what that actually is. All I know about weddings is just what I'm usually seeing.
Well, it's interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. My partner, she was a part-time Catholic at the time, but I didn't care at the moment because all I care about was during those times was just kindness and to do good for everybody, really. Especially to the ones who are different, because I was ridiculed as being different from church, being a punk rock kid, and at school I was just made fun of because of the way I looked and was called the F word and was so yeah, lots of labels. From her, I mean, like if even if it didn't convince her to come into Christianity, or any of the friends that I met from her to go into Christianity, or it didn't really matter to me.
Okay.
Sorry about the background noise.
Sounds like someone's playing with some shades or something.
Oh, it's just the dog's time to eat.
Oh.
Yes. My daughter has the duties to do that.
Gotcha.
So I mean, like from her, I met a lot of people and made more friends. Even in those who were in the what was called the Uncommon Ground group, or then later the Gay Straight Alliance, which back in the conservative time of me, I would have ridiculed.
Yeah.
But I accepted them for who they were, and I stopped caring about the strict rules that I had, and because I believed that Jesus loved everybody no matter what.
Right.
And if God, like, God doesn't make mistakes.
Oh, really? Then why
Apparently,
circumcision?
I know. Yeah, yeah, he regrets a lot of things apparently. Which every time I talk about like God's, well, when people talk to me about when God's perfect and like never makes mistakes, I use like certain things in the Bible where he says that he regrets some things of humanity and
Oh
his
yeah, there's
creations.
multiple. And another thing, he's also all knowing. So
Right.
that means that he already would have known that Lucifer was going to betray him and become the fallen one. So he made a mistake by allowing him to live.
Yeah. Unless, Satan
He
has a
also,
certain power that he doesn't.
maybe, well, Lucifer,
Which,
Satan, yeah, same thing. But also he knew that Adam and Eve were going to fall in the garden ahead of time. But he let that happen too. So he could send his kid down to be killed. What?
well, I have, whenever I bring that up, I mean, I have yet to talk to I guess, an apologist and somebody who knows, um, I guess, the Bible more supposedly, and to talk to me about, what I like to know, like this conversation, for an example.
Mm-hmm.
But in time, I'll have that person in my show. um, yeah, and
Oh,
then
excellent.
I um I officially left the church after, joining college.
That seems to be a popular time period where people end up leaving whatever
Right.
religion they're a part of.
Yeah, because, we tend to learn a little bit more than what we do in high school level, science and, social sciences and everything and whatnot. Because what got me, what had me covered out was, think outside the box was an anthropology class and a social science class.
Ah,
Um, yeah, and it had me look,
damn that
differently at,
anthropology.
yeah, it had me look differently at how like human behavior worked from ancient times to
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how certain beliefs help understand and organize, I guess their culture and how they understand their surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
But I also ran into the Zeitgeist movie. I'm not sure if I'm not sure you're familiar with it actually, um, or if you've heard of it.
Which?
The Zeitgeist movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's three of them, I think.
It might have been the first one, but that talked about different religions being pretty much the same, and
Yeah,
it got me
yeah.
thinking. It got me thinking, and so I mean, it had me stop being a specific denomination. That's for sure. So
Right.
I mean, I still wanted to believe that there was some sort of a higher power controlling the world. Like, even though I didn't want to be part of a specific religion, so to speak, I still wanted to believe in that higher power.
So you became
Um,
more of a deist, is what you're saying, rather than an
Pretty
atheist.
much. But I was also beginning to hop around different belief systems. Like I wanted to learn about um, Islam, and because
Mm-hmm.
I think I was told that there was some sort of similarities within them,
Oh, they're spawned
which,
off the same thing. So
yeah, I mean, they're Abrahamic,
that's
religions.
right.
So, but as much as people don't see that, it is.
Yep.
Um, the last like religion that I wanted to take part of, or belief system, was like Shinto Buddhism. try to get into it, but it in the end, I didn't see the need. Like in the end, I didn't see the need to like really believe, or why be part of this religion? Yeah, I mean, I respect a lot of the Japanese culture. So, and some would just label themselves as Shinto Buddhist, even though they don't necessarily practice it. It's just I think if I'm not mistaken, in a form, maybe a birth certificate, like you have to put yourself as a certain religion. But anyways, I ended up turning into conspiracy theories just for a bit. But again, I didn't find the need to keep believing in radical things anymore. So instead I viewed more of a humanist, approach to things. Then I lost my grandma, who ended up losing her faith a while back. She was my best friend. I was the one who called her and went all the way, drove an hour and a half to go visit her and, tend to her needs, because, again, I try to view things more as a humanist approach. So it doesn't matter, what we believe in. It's more of, we should be there for each other, because you never know when's the last day.
That's right.
So, when she left, I didn't pray for her soul like I did with my uncles, because I knew she wasn't a believer anymore. And so I joined in her skepticism, I guess, in her memory. And I also started doing more storytelling, which is a big part of my channel. I think really is just kind of remembering her and all the all the stories that she has told me. And so I always bring it up to I guess my audience is, what's your story now? What have you gone through?
Well, you have a video on your channel, do you not, where you talk about how you left? I thought I saw something there.
I bring it up in small bits and in each one of my videos.
Okay.
The first one that I released was more of like a welcome to my channel, and it talks a little bit more on why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
But I love the the first series I did, which was folk tales that creeped me out as a child, and I've had some family members send in a couple of stories for me, because originally that's what the attempt was just to make a scary story channel, but I'm just like, what, how about I give it a little twist and give my own thoughts after each story.
Right. There's an interesting comment from Kim Alonso in the chat, actually, that said, God foreknew the fall of man, but he didn't foreordain it. Well, that's irrelevant. If he knew, he could have just went, you know what? This isn't going to work. Let's try something else. Because he's all powerful too.
I mean, that's the thing, as, creationists like to say that, well, we like to be creative too. And that's why, we're like our creator, because we like to create. And we've created so many things from our ideas and our, images. So why isn't there a creator that did? Yeah. And so my thing is that, well, we update our stuff as humans. And if we don't like something, we'll just scrap it and start over.
That's right.
For most things, at least.
They're not allowed to update. Using the old. They're not allowed to update, though, because the word is final, and you can't add or update anything. Unlike everything else, like science and stuff, when they learn that something is wrong, they redo it and they figure it out and they get it right, and then they hypothesize or whatever, and then they have the theory and all that, etc. You can't do that with religion because that word is final.
It's absolute.
That's right.
Even though there's been many translations, and a lot of the words have been in and out.
No original. Oh yeah. There's shit that was in the Bible that is no longer canon ever since the was it the Council of Nicaea or whatever, where they decided what was ultimately going to be canon. You know, Revelations wasn't even in the Bible at one time. It was considered blasphemous.
I hear.
But it's there now because they went, hey, this stuff's pretty fucked up. We could control people with this shit. So they added it in.
Ironically, at the end, if I'm using the word ironic the correct way. But
well, it is the end times. That's what Revelations is all about. So it's unironically at the
end. Yeah, it's. I think even just when when you hear the news talk about old pieces of the scriptures being found, and how scientists are finding these. I don't know. Maybe they feel this sort of like, oh, you see, these pages are real, so the Bible must be true. I used to think that way, at least. Like whenever I want to say I was in high school when they found the supposed bones of Adam and Eve. Unless that story wasn't real and I'm just living in a different reality. I could have swore I saw there was like an entity that was dug out that had no belly button, and it was the supposed Adam or Eve.
Apparently, evolution is the reason for all the evil in the world.
Evolution.
If you think about it, that would actually be right, because evil really didn't come about until man got here. Well, humans, we'll say, got here, and their forefathers and what there are our cousins and ancestors in the hominid tree. That's when evil came about.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I was coming, like in the transitioning phase out, I still kept that idea that all humans are just naturally evil.
Well, we definitely have the ability to be, for sure. Right? I mean, just look at some of the shit that's gone through history with the different religions.
Yeah, if you're not scared to do it, yeah. I mean, I just wouldn't, because if anybody would do that to any of my family members, like steal, murder, whatnot, I'd be devastated. So, imagine the other family being devastated if I were to commit the act just out of, just because I'm evil and I had no reason to do it, which apparently evolution teaches that, we have no morals without God.
Evolution, what evolution doesn't teach? Owning other human beings as property. That's religion. Actually, it doesn't. Yeah. It says it's okay. Even God endorses it. Even tells you how to punish your slaves.
Well, apparently, like I've heard somebody told me that well, the strongest of the fit, or the.
Somebody deal with Richard, please. Thanks. He's asking. He's putting out the same old fucking trope bullshit. Nobody was there to see. Actually, lots was there to see evolution happen.
I mean, I wasn't there to see the creation either. So how do I know it happened? Right. Oh, well, because the Bible said so.
Go fuck yourself. How about that?
Was it because the Bible said so? I mean, if God gave us the natural world to see, then why can't we accept evolution? I don't know.
You don't have to accept evolution. It's a thing, no matter what you believe. Evolution is real. It happened. It's still happening. We have observed it in laboratory occasions multiple times. Evolution is a thing.
It's a fact. Yep. One thing that convinced me, I don't know, it might sound hilarious, but like the thing that convinced me, because I was trying to see like an explanation for evolution itself, because I was ridiculing science in general. It was my friends. One of them was scratching himself pretty much looking like an ape. And it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh. And I mean, but my other friend was more of a, you can say, a furry. And so he was acting more of his wild side, so to speak. I'm like, man, if we never like evolved as a civilization, this is pretty much us. This is pretty much what we be.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the new Godzilla movie? Godzilla vs. Kong?
Oh, I want to, but
it's so good. When Kong wakes up in the morning and scratches his ass, it's great. I saw that. I like it. They added some of the cheese of the original movie, so that's kind of cool.
I mean, you can just observe, other primates, and it strikes you really.
Yeah,
the similarities, which begs the question: if we were supposed to be special, why do we appear the same? If that makes any sense, like, why do we have certain characteristics of other primates?
Because we are primates,
right?
I want to say so much stuff to some of these comments in the chat, but of course, we're doing the thing.
I know. Well, I mean, I always mention that if anybody wants to debate or at least have a conversation,
that's more.
They're more welcome to have a chat with my DMs, and if they want to do an interview or be on a show, then they're more than welcome. Versus being doing it on a chat, because it kind of distracts everybody else.
That's right.
I'm telling my story, damn it. Well, I mean, I'm done, but
Well, we're pretty close to the hour anyways, but we're going to do an after party. Are you okay with doing the after party, Jyuni?
I'd love to, but I do have I guess a favor to ask.
What would that be? I've got lots of extra favors here, so.
Well, in my channel, I'm actually starting my own series of deconversion stories. I'd like to have a different title under it, but who else better than to ask first than the person who does deconversion stories themselves?
You can call it whatever you like. It's okay.
Well, thanks.
I don't have a trademark or anything on deconversion stories, so it's
okay. Cool. You won't sue me then.
No. So I encourage people to do the same thing that I'm doing, because all these stories, I believe, should be heard.
Yes, I know there's a lot of call-in shows where a lot of people want to tell their stories, and I think that's why I wanted to eventually do something like it. And I mean, you're doing it already, so I'm kind of curious to see like how many people that are not in the niche of our community that you haven't done an interview with. Lots
of people. There's I want to grab, I love talking to just about everybody in the community that I get along with, because let's face it, there are splintered atheist groups and some of them don't like me. So but that's all history and in the books now, and I just leave it alone. I mean, I don't think I'm a shitty human, so if they want to think that, that's nothing I could do about that. But there are some folks that people know, that, like Daryl Ray. I want to get Dr. Daryl Ray in here because he also deals with religious trauma. Because let's face it, religion is a fucking poison.
Yeah.
So yeah. And there's Brian, who's also known as Mr. Deity. I was in a stream that he was in as well, and I mentioned to him that I'd love to have him on. So I've sent him an email, but he's a super busy guy. Okay, I'm starting to think Richard Hamilton is a Poe. It's satanic religion of evolution. Isn't a religion, dude. It's a thing. It's a system. It's a process. It's not a religion. Religion requires doctrine. Evolution doesn't have doctrine.
just like, being considered a secular humanist myself, because I know atheism has that bad tinge to it, but it even considering yourself atheism, or atheist, it's not specifically, it's not a religion.
No, it's
And
not. It's
so
a
what?
science. It's evolution is a science. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to talk about this, a satanic religion, um,
well,
I
there's Satanism. The funny thing is, I know a bunch of Satanists, and they don't actually believe in Satan, which is the hilarious part.
right. I mean, there's times where I'm tempted just to label myself, just to, when I'm going out there and active, doing it. When I get back to activism, um, and there's these protests at the Planned Parenthood against, the women who go in there, or just people in general, they go in there. It's like, well, you're impeding against, like, my religious beliefs of, whatever. So, anyways.
Yeah, try telling that to them when they start proselytizing to you.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
what's this?
I was gonna say, that's the crazy thing. Is like I've dedicated my time to. I don't want to consider myself the angry atheist, but
I don't get angry. I just laugh.
I pretty much laughed it off too.
Now I'm Neil, the 666 atheist, by the way. Yes, I'm moving up. No, I have no interest in talking to Darth Dawkins. He's got a script that he works from, and he never gets off of it. So fuck that. I have no interest in talking to Dawkins.
I didn't get to do the visual presentation, but it's okay. That's fine. It was pretty much like whatever I hit on these points that I brought up. So, anybody else has a question or
yeah, if anyone does have a question, just at me in there. If you want, you can at me as Neil the 666 atheist, because that's kind of funny. But no, I have no interest in talking to Darth Dawkins, so I'll answer that question right away. About my deconversion story. Really? Why? So he can just start attacking me because I deconverted? I was a Jew, for fuck's sakes. I wasn't even a Christian. We didn't believe in Jesus, remember?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, if you heard of Jonathan Cahn, the Messianic pastor? / rabbi?
No idea what that is. I'm not really all that familiar.
Gotcha.
Mikey, did you move area codes? Yeah.
From 604 to 666.
That's right. Yeah, I like that. Jesus predicted his own death and resurrection. Yeah, it's easy to write about that stuff and call it predictions after the fact. It's real easy to do that.
My thing is that, I don't know. I know it's a translation, from Yeshua to Jesus, but I try to just, keep it as Yeshua nowadays.
Yeshua would have been his actual name too.
Right.
When Jesus was around, there was no J. The letter J wasn't even a thing yet. It would have been a Y for Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
Or Joshua would be another way to say that name. And somehow we ended up being Jesus.
Yeah, so why did we change the name?
Well, I don't know. No idea. But anyways, let's wrap this up and get into an after party. So, Mikey, why don't you hop on in here for the finale here?
Oh.
Hey, buddy.
Howdy. Great show, guys. Great show.
Yeah, there's a couple of parts there. No, Kim, it's not historically documented. The only documents that mention Jesus is the Bible. So, sorry.
I have a couple questions. Can I ask
Sure.
a couple questions? Cool. How's my mic on the? No, I'm just kidding. When you said underground church, I don't know why I instantly thought of Fight Club, and people were like, just like bare knuckle brawling in the bottom of like an old bar, but then they would just be like like Bibles all over the place and like votive candles. I don't know. Underground church just sounded like a secret society. But you said that they had good music, so that's cool. Music is always great.
It is. Yeah. If it has you dancing, then it must be good.
Did you ever do this, Jyuni? You ever speak in tongues?
I'm trying to remember. I remember if I've spoken at least. Now I've heard the members of the church speak in tongues.
Have you? Ask them if you ever done this. Like, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it and then record it and see if it's the same?
Say it again.
I want to say I think I was 11 or 12 when that happened. And then, it was an interesting experience.
And which bands were you into back in like those teenage years? Because I think we're roughly similar ages. So I was also in that kind of, I'm going to go out to youth group. See you later, parents. And then like I would go to youth group, and then like all my friends at school would be listening to like fucking, I don't know. Like there was so much more. Like I remember Transplants came out with their first CD. And I was like, what is this? Punk rock? Blink 182. What is all Slipknot? What is all this? And like all those like early bands. So like who were you into back then?
Oh, the usual like I want to say mid 2000s. So it'd be My Chemical Romance, Slipknot, Fall Out Boy,
Chiodos.
I'm not familiar. I'm sorry.
My heart.
This is incorrect, by the way. The Greeks do not have a J in their letter. Sorry. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I just looked it up again, and they do not have one. They don't even have a G sound.
Did you just fact check a goose?
Yep.
Or a use, because there's no G in the Greek alphabet. Use 6.0.
Also, gosh, now I'm forgetting names. But I still listen to, once in a while, I like to go back and like listen to the old music I used to listen to.
Taking Back Sunday, like that's my shit. I blast that shit in my car with my
Oh fuck!
Oh my god!
Richard, even if there were never any fossils, we still know evolution is true. Do you know why? Because of the genetic code. Or I hate calling it a code because it's not a code. Because of genetics. That's how we know evolution is true. We could never have found a single fossil, and we'd still know evolution is true. I'm a chemist, and I actually took a little bit of biochemistry back in the day. Evolution is a fucking fact. And no, there was no global flood. There has never been a global flood. If there was, there'd be overwhelming evidence for one. First of all, none of the fish would exist anymore because of the mixing of salt water and fresh water. The closest we might have is some jellyfish. So no. Also, there's no evidence. If you go to some of the highest mountains in the world, there's no evidence they were ever underwater. Well, that's actually not true. A lot of them do have seashells and stuff from before because of plate tectonics and the movement of the continents. So there are some that do have shells and stuff like that. Okay.
Do you remember? I remember the last big flood. I think Neil was doing a show. He had his bandana off and he did a hair flip. I'm talking about it was
soft G, not hard G, soft G.
Neil did a hair flip, and I'm talking up to my ankles. I don't even know who was watching in my area, but there was definitely a flood of something.
Well, the flood, there are flood stories from that time period, but there's also, they now have evidence that what was it? The Black Sea that burst. There was like not a dam, but a range that burst and the water came in throughout the Mediterranean area. That's about the closest you're going to get.
Some dude was eating an opium leaf like, yeah, man. And then I'm all right. And then a flood for 40 days.
We'd also have
40 nights.
We'd have no vegetation. We'd have no insects. None of that stuff would have survived.
I bet if there was a flood, that mosquitoes would still show up the first day that it was dry. They just have a way. The first day that the frost was gone, I had mosquito buzzing in my ear. Most resilient things on the earth.
This is great.
Nice.
All right, we could be doing this in an after party, guys. So let's wrap this up. Anyway, Jyuni, thank you for coming on and being my guest today. It was great having you on.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out with us, and even all you folks that are believers. You help my view counts go up. So thanks for sticking around and at least listening.
Yep.
You may not believe what we believe, but that's fine. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. And I don't mock people for having beliefs. I mock beliefs, especially if they're potentially harmful. That's how it is.
Same thing. Put it in record. That I don't. I don't really. It's kind of hard to say I don't care, but it's like I don't care what people believe in. As long as you're not pushing that belief to people.
That's right. Which is hard for a lot of Christians because they're literally told in the Bible to spread the word.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why they have missionaries and stuff like that. Just, you know what? I have no interest. I've been there, done that. But it's about ideas, not people. And I mock and ridicule bad ideas, especially if they have potential to cause harm.
Yes.
Like many religions do. Anywho, thanks to all my wonderful patrons. Because you guys are amazing and you help me keep the show going. Don't forget that Randolph Richardson and I are starting our own call-in show pretty soon called True North Talk. It'll be quite like all the other ones you're already familiar with. We'll talk about just about anything, though, as long as it's about something you might be believing or whatever. Just give us a call and we'll talk. It's happening soon. We're still building the studio. It's kind of a slow process because shit's expensive. So we're trying our best to get it going. Anyway, also don't forget that this gentleman right underneath me here was on last week's show, but we are, and myself are some of the new hosts for the revamped and relaunched nonprofit show, one of the ACA products, which comes on between Talk Heathen and Atheist Experience at about 3 p.m. Pacific time. Or Central Time, pardon me. So that's 1 p.m. Pacific Time. So head over there and check it out. And the last Saturday of every month, except for the last one, because of what myself and I was going through with my mom. My mom was in the ICU, and I just got a notification from my sister that we did get the lab results, by the way, back about the cancerous tumor that she had. It was in stage 2. So that's early enough where they can deal with it. She does not require chemotherapy. What stage 2 is they require you to, because they removed it. They removed the lump and an ovary and 2 lymph nodes. So all she has to do now is go annually to get a colonoscopy. And no, the flood never happened, Kim. I'm sorry, but I know you believe that it did, but there's nothing to support it. So, is that the animated one, Jyuni?
No, it's just there.
Okay. I love the look of it.
Screen. Thank you.
But anywho, so she's not going to require all that stuff, and she is getting better. They're going to have her off the tubes pretty quick here. I'm going to go see her on Wednesday before I go donate blood with Dave, who's in the chat there, and my friend Randolph. The 3 of us always go to donate. And we usually go for some food afterwards. Hurry up and build them. We're working on it, Randy. Fuck, settle down. If you're not upset about it, grab your harmonica and go play some blues somewhere. I'm kidding.
Yeah, come on. He's even throwing money at you. Come on.
Here's $5. Put a nail in the wood now.
Hey, I can buy a few nails. Come on.
No, just one really big one.
One really fucking big one. The final nail. In a world.
Right through the glass. It's like, no, not there. No. Aw.
God damn it. Anywho. Thanks, by the way, Harmonica Man. That was awesome. Richard, I see comments like this, and I have to respond. Evolution is just a theory. Dude, you're using all the old tropes. Do you not realize that in science, a theory is the highest echelon something can be? It includes laws and hypotheses. So when you say evolution is just a theory, you're actually paying evolution a compliment because theories are reality. They are factual.
That's just your theory, Neil.
No, that's an idea. When people say, "Oh, I got a theory," you say, "No. You have a hypothesis that we're going to have to test." Right? This is a known factual thing. Evolution is real. We know. We even, like I told you before, Richard, even if there were no fossils, we'd still know evolution was real. Anyway, so that show I was talking about earlier until I got distracted by the tropes. Gravity is just a theory. Let's put it to the test.
Just going to say.
Yeah. Germs are just a theory.
Oh my God. I need my mask after you said that. I feel self-conscious. Where's my Purell?
I know.
Remind me how gravity worked back then.
Yeah, how it worked back then. It was different. I'm going to have to take my temperature. Let's do this.
Oh, let's see. Oh, it's not going to get it through your bandana. Need some bare skin.
Okay.
Yeah, give it some skin. Give it some skin, Neil.
Forehead review.
37 Celsius, by the way. This is Canadian.
I was about to say, oh my God, Neil's dead. He's about frozen. He's a slushy.
He's a slushy.
Neil, the 604 slushiest. Oh no.
No, I don't assume anything, Richard. This is not. See, Richard, knowledge is demonstrable. Okay? Faith isn't.
Ooh, what you gonna do now, Richard?
Historical science? Historical science?
Historical science.
Okay, sure. That's not really a thing, but we have history and we have science. Anyway, observational science is how we determine things, Richard. And that's how we determined that evolution is a fact. Because we actually observe it in little petri dishes and stuff today. Speciation happens today. Okay? Like you can have animals from the same species that end up getting separated. And over a few generations, they can no longer interbreed. And that's called speciation. Now you have two completely different species.
They're thinking that that's what's going to happen to people when they go to Mars. Like if we set up colonies on Mars.
Okay, Hamilton's a Poe. He's got to be a fucking Poe. He's probably laughing his ass off right now.
He's setting you off, man. He's setting you off.
I mean, micro and macro can still go along.
Micro and macro is okay. That's stupid terminology because they're almost identical.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no like macroevolution to a creationist is like, well, how come a llama doesn't turn into a giraffe? Oh, I'm not a Poe. You're not a Poe because you said you're not a Poe?
That's Poe's law.
Poe's law.
No, it's Poe's theory. Sorry, excuse me.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, because theory is higher than law. So I don't believe you, Richard. I think you're fucking pulling my chain. Anywho,
you little chain puller.
Let's get into this. I believe in inches, but not miles.
No. Can you hold Neil? Not to drag this out, but can you hold the mile in your hand? That's all. I mean, there you go. It's all theories. With it. It's just all theories, man.
Never mind. That was something totally different.
Oh, gross.
You're not dead serious, Richard. I'm calling bullshit right now.
With sad face. Get out of here.
I'm calling bullshit. Anyway, let's get out of here. Let's get into an after party. Guys, there is a link to the after party below. So, Richard, if you want to come and post some more in the after party, feel free. I was going to have somebody kick your ass out, but I'm not going to do that.
Now, we'll see you in 15 minutes there, big guy.
Okay. Totally a Poe. Gravity is a weak point.
Oh no!
I know he's fucking with us now. He's just totally. Richard, I'm going to extend an invitation to you right now to join us in the after party because I want to see you laughing your ass off.
It's probably tons of mice. Let's be honest about this.
You think? I think you might be right.
It's tons.
Because I don't see a lot from Tons of Mice in the chat.
See?
Usually,
up to no good.
Usually, Tons is everywhere.
Tons is up to no good.
It's just fucking with me. All right. There's a link below, guys. So hit that link and you can hang out. Well, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll probably be about 10 to 15 minutes or so. Look at Tons. It's not me.
No, it's totally you. You can't prove it otherwise.
Birds have hollow bones. They do, though. Anywho.
Yeah.
I've done all my announcements. So we're good. All right. Mm-hmm. Let's get the hell out of here, guys. And let's go over to the other after party there. Jyuni, Mikey will get you a link for that as soon as we have it up and going. And I'm going to take a quick break, go have a smoke, and then come back and whatnot. So hope to see you guys in the after party. Clockwork Rex, I saw you mentioned you wanted to come in. So
on it.
Mikey's going to send you a link. And anyone else that would like to join us, Dave. Oh, fuck it. Just send him one anyway, so he'll get in here eventually.
Yep.
Until then, guys, like I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.